welcome back from the short commercial break, and these are financial markets brought to you by Julius Nsubuga. And well, this is where we give you the best of business broadcasting, and it's just all about driving business. And just recall that this program comes to you live from 10 up to midday every Monday up to Friday. And that is with me, Julius Nsubuga, from 10 to midday, and then probably Marcelino, my colleague, comes in at about 12 to 1 p.m. for more in Forex. And what we normally look at here on the financial markets is basically what is happening in the financial industry and also part in the economy, both locally and also globally. So we look at the interest rates in the country, inflation, and other economic parameters, and then including the stock market and how it is performing. And then from there, we head into Forex. Probably you may basically learn a thing or two even from the Forex, trading on the Forex, because once you basically gain the skill, probably learn something, you can always turn it into a profit. It is very much possible to do that. So let's now continue with our snapshot. And next week we shall be having colleagues from the Uganda Securities Exchange also trying to elaborate to us some of the key issues and a few bits of opportunities and challenges in the Uganda stock market. We shall have a look at many more things right there. So we shall have many of these engagements with colleagues from the Capital Markets Authority, Uganda Securities Exchange, and many other platforms, and also other brokerage firms coming in to basically elaborate how Ugandans can basically embrace the culture of buying shares. Buying shares is something that probably you can engage in. I personally bought my first shares in MTN, and probably I think it is quite something that I look forward to basically seeing the share price shoot high and high and high. But let's see what happens, and then there it will determine if I will be happy or not. Anyway, let's have a look at the snapshot still, because this is a representation of a bit of what is happening on the stock market in Uganda. And you can see over there that we have Equity Bank also listed. Equity Bank share price stands at 1,623.56. That's the share price. And just recall that if you want to buy shares in these publicly listed companies, or probably buy stock, you have to get out there to any brokerage firm, and we'll be also bringing them right here on the show for you. Just stay tuned. The whole of next week, we're going to be bringing you all this information and also these experts right from the source. So Equity Bank, 1,623.56. KCB Group is also at 1,422.55. I can't give you the other figures. I can't really give you, or probably give you an analysis on the opening price, or probably the changes, because these are not real time. This is not real time. It's always changing. And you can see the gainers and the losers probably by 6-7 p.m. You can basically check through the website, and then probably you can see what really transpired all throughout the day. But this is the best I can give you is the share price, as you can see over there. But the share price is most of the time the most important thing. It is the most important thing. So Kenyan Airways is also a Kenyan company that is basically listed on the Ugandan stock market, probably listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange. And Kenyan Airways, we should say, is a legendary airways in East Africa, right? So such big companies have the capacity to basically in the list. Probably if you want to be so big, like these companies, you may want to list your company soon. So just have to find out what it takes. Well, there are a bit of a few challenges here and there when you basically want to become a public company, because at the end of the day, you have a lot of your internal controls, a lot of your business. It is basically scrutinized, and you have to answer to not only shareholders but to the public, and therefore you actually have a lot of responsibility. Nevertheless, it's big business listing your company. So MTN Uganda, this is the latest entrant into Uganda's stock market. Its share price stands at 177.75. And well, this has basically shown me that anything is possible, and you can have more companies becoming actually public companies. So MTN, you can see it's 177.75, and we hope to see how the share price basically performs at the end of the day. You can check this information out right from their website, the Uganda Securities Exchange website, and then you can see gainers and losers throughout the day. But just recall that you have to have an investor's mindset. If you're to invest in any of these stocks, probably you may want to really be abreast with every information, and that means you can't do it alone. You can only partner with a brokerage firm, and then that they may help you choose the best performing shares for you depending on your preferences. If you aren't trading in equity markets, or probably in other alternative investment schemes, then probably the stock market would also basically be good for you. And there's so many ways to invest your money, by the way. You can either invest it, you can either lend it to companies as a corporate bond, or you can lend it to a company as debt, and to be returned to you with an interest. With a corporate bond, probably it can be over a longer period of time, but of course with some very good returns. And then also you may also invest in private companies. Start to look out for companies that can basically, that you can invest your money in. Many of us have money redundant on our accounts. Get it out there and get it to work, because that is what wealth is all about. It's about making money work for you at any one point in time. So you can see over there that MTN Uganda, 177, many of you bought shares there, and I wish you all the best, and so did I, by the way. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, and I'm closely watching. National Insurance Corporation has its share price at 5.10. That is National Insurance Corporation. And then you have Nation Media Group at 578.30. That's the share price for Nation Media Group. If you go down further, probably my producer Shakira will help me go down. Well, you have New Vision Printing and Publishing Company also having its share price at 160.00. That is the New Vision Printing and Publishing Company. Its share price stands at 160. Then Stanbic Bank, the share price stands at 25.00. And Uganda Clays, you will see that its share price at 24, and Umeme at 170. Many of these companies, we're familiar with them. Look out for them, and then probably see how to invest in publicly listed companies. Well, now we're going to the Bank of Uganda Government Securities Auction Calendar as for January 2022. Remember, there are ways to invest your money. One is through lending it to companies, through corporate bonds, or probably through debt. You can become an investor, by lending your money to companies. They'll pay a return, or probably you can buy shares, or perhaps that's something we may call private equity. you may buy a portion of the company. And so of course, there's so many considerations to make before you invest. And the caution is that you must knowledge up. You must know where your money goes at any one point in time. So if you basically have your skin in the game on these companies listed on the stock exchange, and probably also on the few available investment options from the government, then you can always be following up from your phone all the time. So I remember I followed up on the phone when I bought my MTN shares. I try to follow up almost all the time. You're trying to follow up your money and how it's going. And I think it is quite something interesting when you become an investor. So you can become an investor even with the lowest of monies. So having a look at this is the Bank of Uganda Government Securities auction calendar 2022 January, and you can see Treasury bonds and you have Treasury bills. Treasury bonds most of the time are basically also termed as government bonds. They are most of the time it's a fund by government. Yes, so it's like you are lending money to the government, but over a long period of time. That is government bonds. And that's why most times they have probably a higher coupon rate or interest rate. And you can see that there are two government bonds to buy into, one with a return of 17%, as you can see over here. This 17%, one of 3 years. That's a 3 years tenure. It has 17%. And then there is the other, whose trading symbol, as you can see over there. There are two of them. And the last one down is basically a 15-year tenure, and it's basically paying at 16.250%. So government bonds are a way, most of the time secure, many times even more, sometimes even more than corporate bonds. And so you can have your money back. It's always a guarantee that you have your money back. It's almost a guarantee that you have your money back if you invest in government bonds. However, every business is basically risky, because you tie up your money there and you have to wait for it to grow until the maturity date, and then you can have it. And so you can have also, you see also Treasury bills. Treasury bills are basically more of like you are lending to government, but on a very shorter, amount of time. So you lend to the government, but it has shorter periods, say 1 year. The government can pay back your money 1 year, but its interest rate is normally lower. So this is by the Uganda Securities Exchange as well. You have Treasury bonds and Treasury bills. You can find out, call more for information, and probably find out how to invest your money in these bonds and also Treasury bills. Remember that this information, I think, should actually, this is very good knowledge that should be really inculcated right from infancy. Our young people really need to know about investment options, the different investment options, because by all standards, this is what really makes you build wealth and also secure your future, if probably in terms of pension. Many companies, many governments also invest in investment management companies to make a return. For example, NSSF will invest in other companies all across the globe, but just to have its money multiplied. So having money redundant and idle is not a culture to really watch out for. And we shall also be looking at real estate as an alternative investment, because it is one of the areas that probably we may want to put money. It's basically the most traditional way of investing is real estate. apart from government bonds, apart from Treasury Bills, apart from also private equity and the other ways, and also debt. So it is very much important to note that your money should be growing all the time. So let's have a look at, probably my producer can help us over there with the listing on the USE. So you can see that many of you out there have been wondering, what does it take to list? And we had these questions come up yesterday, and this is why we are bringing you this information, because we want you to actually be abreast with the information. This is the Business Command Center, and it's where we give you the best of business broadcasting. And just recall that we will always give you information that is vital and that will build you up and that will make you live a lifestyle that you really wish and hope for. And that is what we stand for. So listing rules at the USE, these are as follows. So if you want to list your company on the USE, probably it also gives you a glimpse of what it takes to list your company on the other stock markets. So a company intending to apply for a listing in Uganda Securities Exchange must conform to the listing rules and regulations as stipulated in the continuing listing obligations. These obligations require that for the company to be admitted to the official list, the following information shall be disclosed in an information memorandum or prospectus for an application for securities being listed on the exchange. So it is very important to note that this information, you always need to have it at your fingertips. Before listing your company on any public company, on any stock market, you have to have a look into this, because by all means you have to be scrutinized right from day one, including the platform or probably the stock market that you have to basically list your company. Raising money as an entrepreneur, as a company, as a business, is going to be part of life. It's going to be something that you will do anytime, and you will never ever retire from actually searching for money or probably looking for funding. At any one given point in time, every company will have to look for money, probably look for funding at every stage of growth. So you need a prospectus setting out the information contained in Appendix 1 to these US listing rules, 2003, which are available. So this, you need a prospectus. It will basically show exactly what really, it will show how your company is basically structured in terms of who owns what percentage in your company. And probably the other question that probably we shall have answered next week when we have the experts here is, can an SMC be listed on the stock market? Can a single membership company be listed? Many of you have companies that are basically single membership. Probably you have only one director. Can that company go public? That is something we can always. So just stay tuned next week, we shall have that answered. So you have to have, number two, you have to have a letter of no objection from the industry regulator of the issuer if the company operates in a regulated industry. For example, if you're basically, say, you are a media house going public, you must be regulated by UCC, and that you can run away from. So you have to oblige and also follow the rules as per your obligation to basically also get clearance from your regulators. So you have a board of directors resolution to list. So board of directors, I think no company can basically go public without a board of directors, because all the structures, company structures should be put in place right from the board of directors to the CEO, and then to the other senior managers, and then down to the other departments. So it's a given, and it's something that probably you won't run away from. So you must have a board of directors. If you probably want to build a business that will probably outlive you and probably live longer, you need this kind of thing, board of directors. So shareholders' resolutions in respect of the offer. So shareholders must also coincide. Before you go public, shareholders must coincide. And you also note that number 5, Capital Markets Authority, approval later. So this is very much important, because the Capital Markets Authority in Uganda is the principal, or probably is the regulator for all the stock markets, or probably we may say capital markets in Uganda are regulated by the Capital Markets Authority of Uganda. So that will be something that you cannot really run away from. So you must also note that you have to have every contract that you've entered. All contracts entered into in connection with the issue should actually be attached. You must have them. So, and also to list, you must also have an underwriting agreement. Any underwriting agreements, if any, you should attach them as well. So number 8 is that contracts with registrars where applicable. So you see that probably you have to have a couple of things in order for you to basically list on the exchange. And it's basically a heavy price to pay, because for you to have people's money, you must be a responsible company and having the necessary structures, and you must have the confidence. You must build confidence and trust that individuals, companies, institutions, and also the public can basically be able to trust your company to meet their investor needs. So it is very important in that regard. So you also have, excuse me. So number 9, you have to have a certificate of incorporation of the issuer or any other incorporation document. I think this is very important for every company. A certificate of incorporation is what the URSB will give you at having approved the registration of your company. So it will always allow you to start doing business. That is certificate of incorporation. So it's a very important document to have. It is a very simple paper, by the way. It's not something that is so huge. So just something simple, just to confirm that indeed you are registered with the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. And then you have as well number 10, declaration by the sponsoring broker in the form set out in Appendix 6 of the US e-listing rules. So you must have, before you go public, you must have a broker. And many times these investment bankers, these brokers will help you actually, they will enable you go public. Some investment banks actually have every component. They can make you go public. They have their brokerage firms or probably subsidiaries. They can help you actually go public. So you must have that declaration by the sponsoring broker in the form set out in Appendix 6 of the US e-listing. And number 11, Memorandum and Articles of Association of the issuer or any other constitutive documents, which must comply with the requirements of the Securities Exchange, whether or not required by the law. And I think this is also very much important. Well, Memorandum and Articles of Association, you must have them at any one point in time. And I think that probably every company even before you get the certificate of incorporation, you must have had the memorandum and articles of association. So these are the things that probably you need. For those that are basically just joining us, these are the things you need to basically list your company on the stock market, or probably on the Uganda Securities Exchange. So, and of course you also need a few other things, but before that, note that before we actually get into the others, note that here at Smart 24 we give the best of business broadcasting, and we will continue to do that. And you can always also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and also Instagram. And you can also follow me on my Facebook page, Nsubuga Julius, and also you can share that information or probably any inquiries, something that you want us to do for you. We'll be glad to give you that information, any business information, to make you and to help you make very good decisions. And also, just recall that we are also going to be having a lot more next week with experts trying to elaborate for us, a few bits of what it takes indeed to list your company. We'll have the experts here next week, and even more into banking and insurance and other respects, and also government agencies will be here trying to give you a few bits of hints on policy and also business and the general business environment. And there you can also be able to basically make very good business decisions. So you must have the memorandum and articles of association. Every person basically has that. And I think you must also be able to have that as long as you're company listed, you're a company registered. You must have that information ready. Well, we'll get to basically the others when I come back with the last part of this segment, the stock market. And I'll be glad to basically have you stay with me as we go through the rest of the thing that you need to know before you list your company on the stock market.